Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astral Drive. This is episode 8. We are back. Before we get into it, of course, I'd like to introduce our players. Directly above my head, you'll see Aether Dios playing Gerald Abrego. Next to him, you will see Philbilly330, the Buildmaster General, playing Nellis Stonehand.
What's up, guys?
And then, last but certainly not least, unofficial TTRPG partner, Wizard's Respite, is playing Alfred Whitecastle.
Hello.
Alright, so we left off. A lot of political intrigue going on. Just sorry for everybody for last week. My power was out, first of all. There was nothing I could do about it. But power's out on today, and we are trying to get through the rest of this political intrigue stuff because we did a lot of role-playing last time. So we left off, we're all in the briefing room, and notebook out. Behind. This is shoddy gamesmanship, guys. Shoddy gamesmanship on my part. Oh, it's fucking works, has it? Okay, it's definitely going to be the last one I pull, right? Yep, without a doubt. Okay, so, so Arn, Harrison Arn, our chair of the first, the guy who's in charge of the Hearth Collective, had personally kind of met with all of you guys, as well as Taya Volk, who is the admiral of the Axiom Defense Force, and they're all on the ship. What the hell was the ship's name? My brain is fried today. I apologize, everybody. I don't know why my brain's not working, but it is not working. It was the Rise, right?
Risen,
thank you. They're all on the Risen post the event, post the situation that went down last time. And you guys have all been kind of corralled into a briefing room. That's everybody. Gerald Abrego, Nellis, Alfred, as well as the dwarf, which somehow I remember his name, the stout, Rex Stonehand, who was a barbarian, was interrogated and possibly abused by Alfred Whitecastle. But it turns out he's a double agent for the ADF within the Dead Seas, the bandit group that raided you. So at that point, we had just started to go over it. We had just found out that Gerald Abrego had actually saved everybody inadvertently with a stealth shot to the villain, who was Gull. Names, guys. Names. I write them all down and then I can't find them in the notebook.
And then bravely ran away.
Yeah, Gull Draxon, who was the leader of the Dead Seas, the orc chieftain. He shot him in the back and ran away. And this seemed to signal the end of the raid, so to speak. That's where we had left off, correct?
Yep. And also Thaddeus is in there, and so is the chick who's in charge of...
Taya Volk.
Yeah, Taya Volk.
Yeah, she's in there. Thaddeus is definitely in there, too, yeah. Alright, so at that point, he's like, that is right. I believe Nellis had just laughed that Gerald had saved him. He's like, the most unlikely hands can sometimes be the ones that turn the tides. And so far, it was Mr. Abrego's quick thinking that may have saved the entire ship. That being said, we have a bigger problem, as you'll all notice. And he kind of circles on the paused screen the gauntlet on Gull Drax's arm. You guys can actually, once you kind of hone in and look at it, it's this large kind of stone gauntlet almost that goes over his hand. Well, it's a gauntlet with stone plating. It's not full stone. And it's glowing and has kind of that ethereal goo feeling that the Zix had. and you can see it glowing red, and it goes all the way up his forearm, almost to his elbow. Right here. Right here. We do believe that explains the Zix. At this point, Taya Volk steps in. Taya Volk says, yes. And just for descriptors, remember Taya Volk is an ogre. She's huge. She looms over everybody. So she kind of steps in. She goes, yes. My intel, well, in point of fact, that is a long-thought, mythical, magical artifact from my planet. They call it the Keeper's Gauntlet. And it is said to have the ability to control Zix. That Zix, however, the way the legend is spoken, is that the Zix can only be controlled if they are willingly, if a hub is willingly tied to the wearer. Sorry, gotta find my pacing. Arn kind of nods, and you see Thaddeus actually kind of gets concerned. He's like, I'm sorry, did you say a hub would be willingly paired to it? She's like, I do not believe that this partnership is necessarily a willing one. I feel that the Dead Seas have found some magical way to ensnare a hub, which is why we are having this meeting, why I am very, very nervous, and why I have decided to work with the Hearth Collective on this. Because we believe there is the presence of a Zix hub in the Northlands on Axiom. And you all know that a hub being on a planet could spell an apocalypse. Go ahead.
All we got to do is send Alfred over there, give him some way to get height, and he will stab right through that.
Just drop him from space.
I think you may be overestimating my abilities a small bit.
I'm just saying I seen it.
At this point, Thaddeus goes, so if there is a hub on Axiom, if that is true, and the Dead Seas not only captured a hub, but somehow brought it back to Axiom undetected and are keeping control over it, that means that this Gull Draxon is able to control the Zix directly connected to that hub. Taya nods. She's like, of course, your study of magic is doesn't let you down. That is in fact true. The Keeper's Gauntlet would basically make him a vessel of the hub. Not controlled by the hub, but able to influence the Zix around him. They would conform to his will. However, herein lies the problem. When he gets too far away from those Zix, that control is lost. And at that point, Thaddeus just chimes in. He goes, I see! The Zix reverted back to their instinctual ways. She's like, yes. They were no longer connected to him or the hub back on the planet, so they did their next thing. Conquer, destroy, assimilate, and create a hub of their own.
What would a man capable of controlling these abominations be doing all the way out here with them?
Taya kind of looks at you and goes, Gull Draxon has an absolute disdain for not just the Hearth Collective, but any government, any planetary or solar system-wide government. He wants to be left alone, but he feels that these governments infringe on his personal freedoms. He has leveraged the entirety of that tribe against both the Hearth Collective and the ADF on multiple occasions. We believe his overall goal with this new power is to actually threaten the Hearth Collective, which he can do. Before, he was just a raider. He's just a pirate raider that takes pot shots at us. At the end of the day, we'd eventually track him down, and he would meet his end. Arn steps in and goes, well, he would find justice. And then she kind of eyes him, like the yin and the yang kind of have that stare off for a second. Then she looks back to you guys and goes, whatever, he would be brought down. That being said, now with the Zix, he has a considerable point of leverage in his back pocket.
So this is just to prove a point? That he can make it to us? We can hit us all the way out here?
Arn goes, I believe his end goal is the destruction of the Hearth Collective. Always has been, always will be.
I'd like to use a cold read token to see if they're trying to hide something.
Okay. All right, so let me just look up cold read again. Make sure we do it right.
I know, I'm reading it too. I think I might have to phrase this a special way.
It's a yes/no question.
I actually think with cold read, it's whether or not they're lying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the yes, no, yeah, deduction's the yes.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine, man. But yeah, cold read. We're almost there. All right, these characters have an affinity. At the beginning of each game, the player gets 3 cold read tokens. At any point during a game, they may spend one of these tokens. After someone else speaks within earshot, the game master or player, depending on the situation, must divulge to this character whether or not the thing said was a lie or not. Who are you using it on, Taya or Arn?
Taya.
Taya's not lying about any of this.
Okay.
So you're dealing with some crazy anarchist who found this object that some other crazy son of a bitch made for what purpose is beyond me, and that's what we're dealing with.
Taya steps in almost as if she's kind of trying to she's still kind of trying to woo Nellis a little bit, like to the ADF, not in general. That'd be some messed up babies. She kind of steps in and goes, yes, unfortunately it was during when the war first started with the Zix. It was a deluded attempt to potentially put a quick end to the war. It did not go well, and to all of our reports, we had heard that the gauntlet was destroyed, and that it never really worked in the first place. Arn kind of steps in now, almost to counter, and goes, interesting you say to end the war, that controlling the Zix would end the war. And she kind of looks at him and goes, well, it would end the war for us. Thaddeus goes, actually, nobody says anything after that. Actually, now Thaddeus speaks up. He goes, I must ask, at this particular juncture, why you have gathered these fine gentlemen and myself into this room to tell us all this. Arn kind of looks at you all and goes, we're getting there. We're getting there. Because there's another problem here. At this point, he forwards the video a little bit further. We obviously, once again, see Gerald Abrego take his perfect shot into the back of Guldrax, and Draxon drops. He runs out of the room with the now dead janitor. Basically, he fast forwards a little bit, and then you see this gargoyle walk in. This massive gargoyle. He's got his wings together, kind of like, if anybody watched the old show, I definitely based them off that. With the wings kind of look like a cloak. You see him just kind of like walk in, look down. He kind of looks around. Then he picks up Goldraxon, turns around towards the camera, and we see his face. He has kind of like coal black skin, like leathery coal black skin, and like red pupilless eyes with like a series of small horns around his forehead, and then just like jet white hair coming down into a ponytail, down to about the small, not the small of his back, the where his shoulder blades are. He kind of turns around, pause it, and he points and he goes, that right there is Volker. Thaddeus goes, rather strange that one of those ne'er-do-wells is working with a barbarian tribe from Axiom. As you'll all know, the gargoyles are from my home planet. At that point, he goes, yes. Just so that everybody knows, I know that both Gerald and Nellis are not familiar with your home planet, but in the archipelago, the Vampire Wars, the gargoyles sided with the vampires. After the vampires were all wiped out and the humans vanished, the gargoyles have, well, let's say, never recovered from the hate they get. Thaddeus is like, yes, sad that. They've never really been given the chance, but at the same time, the levels of hate have spanned a few generations now. So they both put themselves in this position and are unable to get out because the normal populace is unwilling to let them. It's a vicious cycle. Arn kind of nods and goes, yes. However, this is Volker. He is different. We believe he is part of a terrorist organization that the Hearth Collective has been secretly tracking for some time now. And I do want to say, none of this, from here on out, leaves the room. This is classified information. You have all been vetted. We have all looked into your backstories. We have all looked into your backgrounds. And we are aware that you can't possibly be part of this organization. But all we know it as is the echelon of the end. And he points at Gerald Abrego. Gerald, we do believe you met 2 of their agents recently.
Gerald looks up from his notebook that he's been kind of scribbling in. Oh?
I believe you knew them as the Neds. Cooks.
Oh gosh. Yes, I hope there are not more strange, kidnapping, murderous chefs aboard this vessel.
Taya actually steps in and goes, we have been aware of the end for some time as well. And unfortunately, this group works in secret. They work within the confines of already established structures. And they're not an army. They are a covert organization. And we are unsure even what their goals are. We believe this man, Volker, this gargoyle, to be one of their top movers. And if he is with the Dead Seas, with a hub on Axiom, this could be even more dangerous than we thought.
What would the this echelon of the end have wanted with our godly friend here? Because those 2 fellas were in quite the rush to get him on that ship.
Arn and actually Taya look at each other, and they kind of look back and they go, I hate it, absolutely hate it when my intelligence fails me. We have no idea why those 2 were so interested in Mr. Abrego.
I, for one, am also surprised and concerned.
Yeah, we all are. And that's why you are definitely going to be staying in our custody as long as humanly possible. And we'd like you to be reprimanded to one of the people in this room's custody at all times, because there is something about you that this group wants, and we're not exactly sure what it is. But, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I hate to be the lowly guy who speaks out of line, but with all this classified information that you're talking about and the fact that you've just notified us that you have been covertly looking into this echelon of the end terrorist organization, you mean to tell me that you honestly have no idea what they would have wanted with Abrego?
We have only just now become aware of them. And to be honest, just because of the fact that they've embedded themselves in so many of our structures, we have not figured out who we can trust yet. Like I said, I am aware that I could trust every person in this room, at least with this information, maybe not other things. You see, like that last part was a shot at Taya, and she's like, is this really the time? And he's like, when ain't it? And then he looks back at you guys, and he goes, nonetheless, I don't fault you, son, for being worried, and I don't fault you for not being happy with the situation. I personally ain't happy with it, and I personally feel like we're fighting from behind the curve on this one. We need more information, and that's why the next mission, that's why you're all on here. Because, well, I hate to say this, but your expedition is going to get a little bit of a delay there, Mr. Whitecastle.
I felt that might be where you were going with this.
Thaddeus becomes kind of like nervous a little bit. He's like, excuse me, no offense, Admiral, but, well, he's not Admiral. No offense. I'm just going to say your liege. No offense, your liege, but, with the exception of Whitecastle and myself, Nullis is relatively new to the program. He hasn't even had an assignment yet, and Gerald Abrego is a civilian. What exactly do you want us to do about this? And you see Arn go, that's fair. Well, I'm going to say this right now. I watched Gerald Abrego take one shot and end the raid, and I watched Nullis cast spells out of his damn nose and help Whitecastle save the whole damn ship. So I am not exactly worried about neither one of them, the two of them. And if they're with you and Whitecastle, I'm even less worried. However, what I am worried about is one of these end echelon sons of bitches down there with a hub and a very gullible berserk Viking terrorist using that to summon Zix on a highly, highly populated planet. So, there is another thing to all this too. The ship, that is. Yes. You haven't seen it yet. The Missionary 1. As I said, your expedition, well, the reason that Gerald Abrego is here is because the Church of Matthias, helped fund that expedition, correct?
Yes, and it's. I look forward to continuing the expedition. It has been an excellent investment, and I do have additional supplies for the vessel. I would like to see it if possible.
Well, we're definitely all gonna go look at her tonight. She's a beaut. She's small. She can land in mountainous regions, and she also has something very special. Prototype technology that was worked out and designed and put on this ship specifically for exploring other galaxies. But what makes this so perfect is it is a low-level cloaking technology.
I think I see where this is going.
Yeah. Mr. Arn, with all due respect, are you sure that the Missionary 1, although she is a beaut, would be a better option than the Doggy Style 2?
We didn't name him. We didn't name him. That came directly from the church. And if I do say so, they took some liberties with the decorations, so you guys have fun flying around in a Popemobile. But that being
I look over at Gerald.
Gerald hasn't seen the ship either.
There's through. No, just some of this was explained. It's in the brochures. No one read them.
He goes
yes, that's most excellent. The investment in Fate has been quite significant, and so I must be afraid that I will have to assess additional changes to the invoicing for additional combat time and schedules. It's all in the contract.
So it looks like a religious beacon of godliness. How good is that cloaking device?
Arn chuckles. It's good. It's real good, or we wouldn't be asking you boys to do what you need to do. I'll tell you what else. Here's the other tricky part, and the other reason that Gerald Abrego is here. You see, as this being a joint operation, there is a failsafe built into the Missionary One. That failsafe being that ship won't start and won't fly unless Gerald Abrego is standing on it.
Oh, that is both inconvenient and concerning, and possibly related to the previous issue of me being kidnapped.
He looks at you and he goes, "We had thought that. I'm not gonna lie. Being able to get that and possibly steal the cloaking technology might be why they were coming after you. I mean, and if they could get this far into the ship, that might be the reason. They might well know about it. However, the only thing that rules us out for that is those guys were embedded in here long before we even started on the ship. I'm not ruling it out that that's the reasoning, but still, it's a little weird that they were here for you."
Or they were just activated at what they considered to be the most important time.
Like I said, not ruling it out, and I'm hoping you guys can give me some more answers. But, again, Gerald Abrego has to be on that ship, and that ship is 100% the only ship that is going to be able to fly into those mountains, park where we need it to park. Especially since the Dead Sea is located in one of the most treacherous and tall mountain ranges there is in the Northlands. So flying in is just real hard, and not really a whole lot of an option.
Oh, I don't have to fly this as well. That would not go very well.
Now we'll get a pilot. Well, we got a pilot right over there. Alfred Whitecastle could fly, if I recall correctly.
Oh, good.
That would be my job.
So, the other thing I'm hearing in all this is we have to keep Brago alive to be able to get back out with that ship.
Yep.
Oh, that's fine. I can stay on the ship.
Seems extremely inconvenient. But
not to mention, I'm not entirely sure letting you out of our sight is a wise course of action.
Oh no, I am very comfortable being out of sight.
Thaddeus actually sounds off and goes, "Sir, you cannot be serious with this group." Arn kind of like gives him a hard eye. He's like, "You afraid of something, Thaddeus?" He's like, "No, I just going down to that planet. It's not. There's no other group that could do this." He's like, "Not that I trust, not that has the means and the motive right now, and plus Gull Draxon's got a big old bullet in his back, and he's a little bit wounded, so I'd much rather send a team in now than when he is, back up to full strength."
After this mission is concluded, what then?
Well, then we get back on. yeah, then we get back on your expedition. No problem. But this just takes priority. We need to find out. This is a rare situation that we have got ourselves in. They may have, even though they killed a ton of people and it was terrible, they may have made a crucial mistake by revealing a little bit of their hand when they did that. We now know that Volker is working with them. We know that the echelon at the end is involved in some way. They tried to take Gerald and failed. That was another loss on them. We know that they're after Gerald. We also know that Guldraxon's down there with this gauntlet of the damn keeper running around with a hub and a bunch of Zix on his side. So we have more information than they wanted us to. We got to strike while the iron's hot. That's what I always say, and that's what my pappy always said.
I look at Thaddeus and I'm like, if the Honorable Mr. Arn says we should go to Axiom, I think that that's exactly what we should do, Thaddeus. And I wink at him.
Thaddeus can't match your gaze. Like he can't even look up at you. Like he doesn't even see your wink. Like and you can tell he knows you're looking at him, but he just like refuses to look at you. He has like a few beads of sweat, and he is legitimately looks bothered. Like he's not hiding it well. You don't even need to roll for it.
Would all of us notice that? Because I'm also friends with Thaddeus, and that would.
He definitely looks distressed. He's not hiding it. Anybody who takes a look at Thaddeus can tell he's not happy about any of this. You're not exactly sure what part of it. That, if you want to call for a roll, you can. But you're not exactly sure what about this is bugging him, but something about this is bugging him. Like to the core of him.
Okay.
It's a very opposite reaction to what you saw when you guys were all retaking the ship too.
Okay. I think I'm gonna wait for that for now. So this leader of this marauding band of pirates, Galdraxon, he's the only thing standing between us and exploring the Rockford system. Getting a Drago out of our system and away from the rest of the echelon and to a region of space where presumably they can't follow.
Arn eyes you now. I'm going to need you to give me a charisma manipulation.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty good for you.
15.
Okay, all right. He eyes you hard, like suspiciously all of a sudden. He's like, White Castle, like I said, this is something we got to do. This is definitely the orders, and we'll get back to that expedition as soon as we can. But this is the best course of action right now. Seem off.
Yes, sir.
Like almost like he's like, you want to talk about the expedition again? Right now? Right now? He takes your yes, sir, and kind of like seems to shrug it off. And he goes, all right, so, as it said, you're all probably wondering why he is sitting in the room. And then he points to like a couple of chairs down. Just been sitting quiet and stone-faced is the stout Rex that you punched in the face. That's the double agent. He's just sitting there with his arm crossed in the chair, kind of leaning back. He's still in the like barbarian raider wear, like they haven't put him in other clothes. But he does have a pretty fat lip, like just big purple lip. He kind of turns towards you guys. He goes, now, Ataya steps up at this point, and she goes, Agent Stonetooth here is one of my most decorated cover agents. He managed to actually... He is the only agent to manage to infiltrate and gain access to the Dead Seas and actually be able to report me anything. He is incredibly regretful about what happened here on the ship, but the Dead Seas keep a very tight lid on the North Lands. It is a very, very technology void place, and if anybody caught him using a communicator, he would not make it out. He wasn't able to get to one. The raid is not something he wanted to happen, and he did everything in his power to sabotage it once he was here. That being said, and she looks at him and goes, so his physical appearance is understandable. She looks at White Castle, like directly at you, and goes, but I assume that this is done between the two of you?
Nothing against an operative doing what he was meant to do. And if he didn't harm anybody on the any of the Hearth Collective personnel on board, I have no animosity towards him.
Arn steps in before anybody else can talk, and he's like, I don't exactly like the accusation. Taya's like, well, it wasn't made at you, was it? He like takes a groan. He's like, back to the mission. She's like, yes, of course. Mr. Stonetooth's cover is not blown. He could still potentially get you all inside. Alfred is a human. There are humans in the Dead Seas. The Dead Seas have absorbed many other tribes. They are an aggressive warring tribe, so they've absorbed many. The only one that there will be a problem with, she points at Abrego. But I am sure that there will be something you can all figure out. Maybe leave him on the ship so he doesn't die or whatever. I don't know. That's up to you guys. However,
paint him green.
For the most part, you are orc enough to get in, and you are human. So you should be fine. Rex is like, yeah. They'll pass. You just got to follow my lead down there when we get inside.
So, when we're inside, it's just going to be Nellis and I tracking down the Gal Draxon and assassinating him, then making it back to our ship and fleeing the world.
Taya smiles and goes, assassinating him? She looks at Arn and goes, this is your operative? I thought you were all peaceful and justice, and he wants to go in there and slit people's throats. Mr. Whitecastle, I think you're in the wrong service. I definitely have a place for you if you ever want to switch sides. Arn stops and he's like, he gives you a hard look, like, don't say anything else. He looks at you angrily and he goes, that's not what he meant. He would be doing it because they brought down our people. And we all know Guldraxon is guilty at this point. We got the hard evidence. So don't you dare. Don't you dare. And then he like looks back at you gruffly. And then he goes, your mission is to take out that hub. We already know you guys can do it. Get in and do everything in your power to destroy that hub and potentially take that gauntlet out of play. While you're in there, we'd love it if you could figure out some more information on what's going on with this echelon at the end. But I'm going to say this right now. I don't want to lose any more people. I've lost enough people in the last week. So do what you can, but if you are all going to die, if it gets too dangerous, get the fuck out of there. And don't even pardon my French. You guys are the only people I could send in there, so I gotta send you. That's the hard reality of leadership. But I don't want none of you going down if you don't have to. So do what you can to put this situation to bed. But if you can't, just get out with as much information as you can. Taya smiles at you and goes, but by all means, if Guldraxon, doesn't make it out alive, no one's going to be unhappy about that.
I believe my words were misinterpreted. I am somewhat disinclined to understand that our odds are remotely serviceable in this situation. I mean, yes, Nellis and I did take down a hub. We were not alone. There were people on the bridge with us. Now we're talking about
And that hub wasn't fully formed either.
indeed, or controlled by a focused mind or a gauntlets. What? It's just the two of us that's going in there?
No. I'm gonna allow you guys to pick some extra personnel to go with you. Might I? The ship can safely accommodate 7 people. So you're taking Thaddeus. You gotta take Abrego. You could take at least 3 more people. Might I make a recommendation? One of them's a doctor of some sort.
Yes, I can recommend a doctor, and also the leaving safely. I also recommend that.
He looks at you and goes, "You got a doctor in mind, Abrego? You gotten a chance to get to know our staff here on the Risen?"
Yes, I've already been treated by one of your, several of your medical staff, and that would be probably for the best.
Are you talking about Kelly? What was her last name? I never remember her last name.
Carnes?
Carnes?
Kaylin.
Kalins?
Kalins.
Yes, Miss Kalins is,
What if we gotten it wrong
in...
every time? It's been Carnes, Kalins.
Listen, when we say Zix right, it's fine. We're considered even. Yes, she was very helpful in my continued survival, and that is something I do greatly appreciate.
He kind of he eyes you and goes, "You're talking about the doctor that took that big old chunk out of her chest. Are you sure she's okay to go down with you?"
I would think that anyone who stands up to a very large person with a very large cleaver and then gets up again is pretty good. We respect that quite a lot.
That's a good point.
If she's up for it, she's got my blessing. I got no problems with that whatsoever. So 2 more, Mr. Whitecastle. Go ahead.
I look at Alfred and I say, "Hey, Alfred. I mean, Hobbs seems like a trustworthy guy."
To be honest, he was at the top of my list.
I'm gonna have to make up stats for Hobbs now. Real stats.
We have room for 1 more after that.
What is our group lacking, seeing as how I'm not exactly familiar with Mr. Abrego's skill set?
Well, stealth Undertaker shots.
If you require additional investment opportunities and balanced portfolios, I think that can help with that.
That may come in handy at some point on this mission.
Yes, I am keeping a running tally of all costs associated with this mission.
Although I'm not sure that you running around talking about Matthias in a Neanderthal encampment run by Gul Draxton would be the best point of action.
They could probably use my help in that regard.
I don't think they'd welcome it, Gerald.
Yeah, that's...
You're right. He needs to stay on the ship.
Yes. No, that's...
It's like trying to explain to a Mormon why you shouldn't go to everybody's door.
While it's very important to spread his word it would not be terribly efficient or profitable in this at this time. I don't think so. So I'll stay on the ship.
And I trust Alfred to pick the final person to accompany us. However, I do think that if we're going to do this, we should probably get some insight from Alfred's best friend, Mr. Stonetooth, over there as to the culture and beliefs and such of Draxton's group, so we can pretend to fit in.
Arn interrupts and goes, that's not a half bad idea. Nullis, why don't you converse with Rex and kind of come up with some suggestions? Mr. Whitecastle, I'd like to see you in my office if you don't mind.
Sir. And I stand up.
Alright, so you follow Whitecastle out. Rex kind of comes over and extends a hand, kind of cautiously, just because of everything that's happened, but still extends a hand to Nullis.
Pickles runs over too.
He gets a little nervous about Pickles. We forgot Pickles was in the room. He kind of clicks over and he's like, oof. It's like, I gotta say, never seen one of them before up close.
He's pretty cool, ain't he?
He is. But I gotta say, how in the hell did you end up here with those guns, with that animal, with that outfit? I mean, no offense, I met a lot of orcs. They're usually not cowboys.
I've never been to Axiom that I can remember. So I have my own reasons for joining the collective, but I think we should focus more on the issue at hand as to how myself and Alfred and our team are supposed to infiltrate and not stick out like a sore thumb.
He puts his hand up. Fair enough. Didn't mean to pry. He walks over to kind of a table. Then he pulls out like a PDA, and he goes over some maps. Kind of zooms in on it. He's like, "All right, so right here's the Dead Seas. They literally have their entire city, their main hub of city. I shouldn't use the word hub. Their main grouping, tribe, whatever. They carved out the inside of a mountain." That's why it's so hard to get a ship in there, because all of their ships are stored in the mountain, little holes that they've carved out. So if you fly on there with anything other than a raider ship, you're immediately seen and they take you out. And you can't land a ship normally anywhere else out there because of how treacherous the mountain range is. That being said, from what I understand, this missionary ship is much smaller, so it should be able to put down. And then he points the map. It's probably it's kind of down towards more of the base of the mountain. It's not at the base of the mountain. It's kind of, how the mountains kind of stick up into each other. It's kind of in kind of a basin, like a valley created between a shorter mountain and the big mountain that the Dead Sea is in. He's like, you should be able to put down there. It's still well above the Axiom sea level, easily. But it is a smaller, more treacherous terrain, so the ship would have to be small to actually land in there. And the Hearth Collective doesn't really make ships that small, usually. That being said, he's like, there is another group right here, the Steps. He points, it's kind of up the valley a little bit, towards another one of the neighboring mountains. He kind of zooms in on it, and you see kind of they've kind of almost hollowed out steps into the mountain, giant massive steps into the mountain, and their village kind of seems built into these steps, over these steps. He's like, those are the Steps. That's the Steps tribe. They're a small merchant tribe Guldraxin doesn't care a whip about them because they're not fighters. Plus, they bring in money and they bring in goods, so it does him good to leave them alone. So they kind of have a unspoken agreement that the merchants don't mess with Gull. Gull doesn't mess with the merchants. But they still trade with everybody. Which means that if we go down there, we land, we could probably head up to the steps. They'll even be accepting of him. He points at the armadillo, which is funny because he's a stout, which is our version of dwarf. So he's like 4, 5, 5, 5. 4, 5, 5 feet tops compared to like the Arma, who is massive, just a massive armadillo standing there. He goes, but they'll even be friendly to him because, like I said, they're more of a pacifist tribe. And they just kind of like take stuff in. I mean, they've got their warriors for protection, but they don't go to war with anybody. They're not aggressive. So we head up there. We might be able to buy some clothes, some outfits, so that you guys can pass when we trudge up the mountain back into Guldraxin. What I have to say as far as story goes, I got a ship from you guys last second, had a hard time piloting it because we all have hard time piloting things, or at least we're supposed to. Crashed it in the mountains and had to walk my way back.
See, I wonder if these merchants, if there's a problem, I wonder if Abrego would be able to blend in with these merchants and possibly find us a backup, trade route out if things go sideways.
That is something we could definitely potentially negotiate. And I'm not going to lie, big man over here might actually be useful to them because I know they're Northlanders. Most Northlanders are isolationists. The merchants from the steppes aren't. It's actually part of their rite of passage is for like their children to become adults. They have to travel out on their own and bring back goods that nobody has ever seen in the tribe before. So like they actually would probably actually respect not just Abrego, but his missionary status a little bit. He might actually be able to get some clout with them.
Oh, this is definitely more my speed.
Exactly. Like you might be able to negotiate with them possibly better than even me, Nulliser, or Fast Hands McGillicuddy over there. So we might be able to actually use him during that part really heavily because, like I said, they love things they haven't seen before, and they love like other cultures of religions and stuff, especially when they're merchant or monetary based. Gerald Abrego is literally catnip for them.
I gotta ask, have you, in your time on the inside, have you seen this hub? Do you know where it is in Draxton's Dead Seas?
I have a couple of ideas, but Gull doesn't show it. I will say this. Gull has a group of sorcerers. They are on rotation. Sorcerers go down into a certain part of that's off limits, like certain caves that are off limits. I have a theory. I think personally that Gull is keeping a hub using sorcerers to hold him in place, to force him to work with Guldraxin, like to give his power willingly. I think that he has to constantly be like rotating those sorcerers out. And this is one of the things that scares me so much. Is I think that like if he's got constantly 7 sorcerers down there, if one of those sorcerers gives way before another shift comes in, that's all that hub is going to need to get out. I mean, they're containing a force of nature down there with just like 7 sorcerers on rotation who are constantly getting worn out and tired. But he's got basically every sorcerer, every powerful sorcerer in the tribe just on this rotation. Every like 5-6 hours, 7 more of them go down into the caves, 7 come up tired. I'm pretty sure that's where the hub is. I'm pretty sure if we follow those sorcerers in, we can find the hub. But again, that is a very angry hub down there, waiting for a chance.
How many men are in Draxton's group? Like, what are we looking at? Hundreds, thousands? What?
Well, warriors. Warriors
Yeah.
is probably somewhere between 500 and 1,000.
Jesus.
Civilians, many more. I mean, like I said, he has absorbed multiple tribes. I will say this: they're spread out. He points to the PDA again. He goes, "This entire mountain range is Dead Sea territory. It's all owned by Guldraxxin, and he has." Well, not just him, but his lineage has slowly taken those mountains for himself. And he actually like zooms out a little bit to show you the Northlands, which is a very wide, expansive amount of Axiom. But you actually like he points out the Dead Seas, and they take up like a percentage of those Northlands. And he's like, so you're talking about a small army, but they're spread out through different tribes. Some of them aren't even really that loyal to Gull. It's kind of a feudal system. As far as in the Dead Seas, like main city right here, you're looking at least like 200, 300 warriors. And then probably another 300-400 civilians.
Well, that definitely takes out the go in guns blazing option and leaves more of the assimilate and get the job done slowly option.
Which is what I've been doing for some time. He's a powerful he's a powerful player in that game. I want you to give me a perception cold read check at this point. Nullus.
Difficulty?
We're going to say difficulty is 10.
Oh, I rolled a 12 plus 2, 14.
Okay. So at this point, you kind of you're still talking to Rex, going over the plans, and then you realize that on the other side of the meeting room, it's a big meeting room, so like on the other side, kind of behind where they were, like the projector was, Taya and Thaddeus are arguing. Can't hear what they're saying, but they're definitely arguing. Like Thaddeus is pissed, and she is just as mad at him.
I look at Rex, I'm like, so how long have you been working for her?
Taya?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been working for her since I went into ADF. She's the admiral in command. It's impossible to be in there without working for her. But as far as working with her, probably the last 10 years. I mean, ever since I got good at what I do. And I've been in with the Dead Seas for the last 3.
What do you think of this Taya?
He smiles at you. And then he looks at Abrego, who's still standing there. And then he looks back at you and goes, "Hey, you want to talk dirt? Let's go get a drink somewhere. In private."
Could use some liquids.
Do you say anything, Gerald, or?
Oh no, Gerald is like a very broad mix of terrified, concerned, and very busy scribbling away in his notebook, just to keep his mind off of of this, and he'll probably remember and look up and run awkwardly out of the room.
Okay, all right. So you guys go to get a drink. We're gonna switch to Alfred. Alfred, you were taken into Arn's office, which is an impromptu office. It's just a normal command office. Obviously, he doesn't like have an office here, but it's what he's kind of commandeered while he's on board. He just goes, "Have a seat," and then goes around and sits at the desk.
Okay. Sit down. Back very straight.
What's your name?
Alfred Whitecastle. Sir.
He sits back and he goes, "You absolutely 100% sure of that?" Now I'm going to say this before you respond to that. I want to make absolutely clear you understand that there is no going back from Lion to first chair Harrison Arn.
Can I do... Ooh. I'm going to use a deduction.
Okay. All right.
Given,
if you need to ask the question in private, I have Messenger up.
Okay, actually, that might not be a bad idea.
I mean, I think there's no illusions that everybody's keeping secrets from everybody in this group. So.
And this is just a yes or no question, right? That's how
You can ask a yes or no question, and I must answer you honestly. You get 3 per session.
And it costs a perk, I believe. Okay, shot that over.
No.
Ooh. What is this about, sir?
He kind of eyes you for a second, and he goes, "I need to know who I could trust." Now, you heard me saying in that room that I triple vetted all of y'all. You better believe I did that, especially after 2 cooks out of nowhere decided to try and pull a highfalutin religious auditor from another group of people onto their ship for unknown reasons. That shit don't fly in my army. And he pulls like a file that he's had ready. He slaps it down in front of you. And he goes, "You better believe I triple vetted you too." Now, I triple vetted Nullus. He's definitely got some red flags in his backstory. But at the end of the day, boy don't know who he is. Boy trying to figure out who he is. So I get it. Gerald Abrego is the one being kidnapped, so I sure as shit ain't worried about him. And Thaddeus has got more decorated medals on his chest, half of them he can't even talk about, than a goddamn fridge from a proud mother. You, however, he turns the file around, opens the file. He goes, "Alfred Whitecastle, joined in X year, whatever." He goes, he kind of goes through your service record a little bit, and then he gets to a part and he goes, "Right here. Took a devious wound in a crash, ship crash, to both your right knee and your left arm. And then you were posthumously discharged honorably with a medal. However, we fast forward." And then he points. He goes, "Whole year goes by. Then all of a sudden, you back. You ready to serve again. Your knee and your elbow look just fine to me. So I gotta ask, Mr. Whitecastle, what happened in that year? What you been doing in that year? And why in the name of shit, when everything's going to crap and there are bodies dropping everywhere, and I'm about to send you down to get the son of a bitch that did it, all you can think about is flying away to another goddamn solar system?" And he is just eyeing you hard.
Before I joined the Hearth Collective, I did not have very many opportunities in my life. After I was released, I looked for ways to improve my circumstances, heal my body. It was a painful time in my life. And I needed to find the direction that I once had before my injuries. Which is why I came back. But I also found while I was looking that this galaxy is... Sir, we were attacked by raiders. We are the Hearth Collective, and we were attacked by raiders. Out here, this galaxy is on the brink, and I know I sound crazy to say this. Everything seems fine. There's been peace. That's just on the surface, sir. I know I've seen things in my travels that we need something else. Our survival depends on something else.
Okay. He eyes you real hard. And he goes, let me get this straight. You want all of us to cut and run on the goddamn Hearth system?
I want us to build something better. Something new. Something that we can bring back to the Hearth system and depend on.
Ooh, nice pivot. He kind of steps back. He's like, all right, you didn't call for it, but I gotta make you do it. You're gonna roll manipulation charisma versus his perception. Cold read.
Okay. All right, that is 14.
He leans forward real close. You're lying to me about something, kid. I'm telling you right now, I didn't get to this first chair by being stupid. I didn't get to this first chair by being gullible. So I can tell you lying to me about something. So how do I know you're not one of these echelons of the end? How do I know I'm not sending one of their operatives out there? You want to keep your secrets, that's one thing. Every man's got a right to some secrets. But you're going to tell me why I can trust you to do this mission. Or by God, you ain't going.
I tell you in complete honesty, I have no intention of going to that world and dying. I have no intention of coming back to this space station, to the Hearth Collective, and then going into the next galaxy and dying. I have every intention of finding a way to survive and for my people to survive.
All right. Give me another roll, man. This is an important one. I'm going to roll his first so you know what you got to beat, okay?
I will say
that you're not lying.
Of what he said,
you're not lying.
Yeah,
no, you're not lying. I can tell you're not lying. But this is more... Actually, no. I'm going to have you do charisma empathy because this is more trying to convince him he can trust you. Not necessarily trying to convince him you're telling the truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's still doing okay. All right, so you need to get a 13 or higher. And I'm not saying necessarily a fail will ruin you forever, but you have to make him trust you. Okay.
I'm using a momentum to reroll.
It's 2. It's 2 to reroll.
Okay, I got a 17.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
That was an important one. That was important. This was a very important conversation. He steps back and looks at you. All right. I'm not exactly sure I could believe everything you say, but I feel I could trust you with my people's lives and my ship. So, I'm gonna let you go ahead. I'm gonna say this right now, though, Mr. Whitecastle. The ice can't get much thinner where you're standing, if you understand what my meaning.
sir, I do. And I hope that when I accomplish our mission, that you'll see this in a different light. I stand at attention.
All right. He dismissed. All right, we're going to switch back over to Phil Billy. Phil Billy, you sit down with Rex. Yeah, I know. That was a good one. That was a good scene.
Yeah.
You mentioned the expedition one too many times in the briefing. He was like, okay, Arden's going to drag this boy over. Plus, he did vet you all. He was going to have that conversation with you anyway.
Yeah.
But, okay.
No, that was solid.
It's solid. Phil Billy, Nella sits down with Rex. You guys find a nice corner of the cafeteria that's unbiased by people or anything. And actually, he sits down and he starts drinking some coffee and just smiles. He's like, "Can I just tell you, the cave shit that they give you in the Northlands to make up for this coffee? Oh man, can't wait to get out of that assignment. I mean, I know everybody looks at Axiom as this backwater medieval planet. We got coffee. Northlanders are just crazy people. So, you wanted to ask what you want to ask.
Taya, what are your thoughts about her? She seems quite interested in me, a newbie that doesn't know much of anything about anything.
You got your pet there, right?
Oh, Pickles? Yeah, sure.
I'm going to assume you know a bit about animals and wrangling. I'm not exactly sure where you came from, but...
Farming.
You know those animals that they're just, there's something dark about them, you know? And you train them to be just nasty sons of bitches. And they do a job. They protect something. Maybe they protect your herd. Maybe they protect your farm. And you know that if the job wasn't there, they'd be more dangerous than what you were protecting, than what you were having them protect you from, you know?
Absolutely.
That's Taya. Taya is the devil we need. Taya is the only person that can do that job because the ADF is not like the Hearth Collective. Look, I'm an Axiom man, born and raised. I was born in the Northlands. My mom and dad wanted a better life for us. We moved south. I grew up in Axiom. I ended up going into military service, and I ended up having a natural knack for looking like a barbarian because most stouts stay in the north, and that's what I've been used for since. That being said, the ADF is not like the Hearth Collective. The Hearth Collective are like kumbaya compared to the ADF. The ADF, that woman has to literally deal with every religious leader, political leader, all of them from Axiom. And she has to deal with them on a regular basis, make them all happy about the job she's doing while protecting them from sometimes themselves. And then also trying to further her power while she constantly looks dwarfed by the Hearth Collective. I mean, her position is not a good one. Because of that, she is probably the most bloodthirsty and dangerous woman I have ever met in my life. That being said, I think she's the only person in the world that could be the admiral of the ADF. I don't know if that helps you.
I can understand and respect it to a level, that's for sure.
I mean,
there's just speaking to her. You could see the possible dangers that lie behind her.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sick of these. I've only been here a short time, but I'll be honest with you, I ain't a fan of all the red tape that's involved with these organizations and the secrets that lie behind it, but I guess that's something I gotta get used to, huh?
Man, you're swimming around in the wrong pond then, my brother. I'll say this. The ADF has no shortage of that. I don't know what exactly you're asking me these questions for, specifically on Taya, because I thought you were Hearth Collective.
Well, I am Hearth Collective. She just happened to show an interest in myself and allude to possibly knowing some things about me that I don't even know about myself.
This changes his entire demeanor when you say that. He goes, whoa, 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 whoa. She asked to talk to you?
Between you and and if I find out that this gets anywhere but between you and I will call Alfred to hit the other eye. Yes.
First of all, he actually gets a little upset there. He's like, first of all, if it had been a fair fight, that namby-pamby wouldn't have stood a chance. Second of all, you want to kill me for breaking a secret, you'll have to get in line. I keep secrets all over the place.
I respect that.
As far as what you just said, if Taya Velk asked to talk to you about something, then she knows everything. Everything. She knows something about you. Period. Hell, she probably involved in something that has to do with you. If Taya Volk asked to speak to you, she wouldn't have. No offense to you, but you're an initiate at the Hearth Collective. Man, she would find you on her shoe and clean you off with Kleenex. She doesn't ask to talk to people like you, and that's no offense. That's just who she is. If she's asking to talk to you, you are important to her in some way. You've never met her before?
Not that I'm aware of, no. And I was afraid that you would say something like you just said.
Yeah, well, secrets are reciprocal. Didn't come from me.
I can respect that, and I'll raise to toast our shitty coffee.
He toasts his wonderful coffee.
Yeah, good coffee.
It might be shitty to you, but he's been drinking cave coffee for fucking 3 years.
Mud water.
Toast. And you guys, you definitely have bonded a little bit. And he goes, look, now that we've talked, I gotta say, I do have a little bit of a favor to ask you.
Lots of favors. All right, what is it? Let's hear it.
There is a guy that I know that'd be perfect for this mission, but he's not Hearth Collective. He's ADF. And I know if that comes from me, it's going to get shot down before it even starts. But I'd love to get him on this mission with us. I trust him, and he's going to be useful.
Who is this man that you vouch for?
His name's Heath Welker.
Heath Welker?
And I bet you right now he's over there on her ship. he'd be about as useful as anybody else.
And here's my problem with your favor that you ask. There's a couple. First off, I am the lowest man on the totem pole that you could possibly imagine around here. Number one. I do have some favorable relationships with some people that could get your request done. However, these people that I'm going to have to run this request up, they are going to be aware that I personally do not know this Heath Welker. So you're going to have to help me out with some reason as to why I know him and what his skill set is that can't be denied.
Well, I'll be 100% with you. He's an assassin. He's a Tyavolk assassin. He's got stealth, he's got blades, and he's good with both of them. And that would be perfect in what we're about to do. And if there's anybody to help us basically break into the Dead Seas and kill a hub, I feel like he is going to have those talents. He's going to fit the holes in your group real fast. I mean, from what I understand, the big armadillo somehow sneaks real well. But other than that, he's not going to be super useful in a fight. This guy will slit 9 people's throats before they even know he's coming. That being said, if you're all right with it, I can talk to Taya. She could put the screws to Harrison, because right now, this is a joint task force, and the only member of the ADF on it is me. She can put the screws to him and force him to take a second member. But I gotta make sure that one of you guys is okay with it. I don't want it to be... I need an in. I need somebody who's willing to listen. You know what I mean?
I'd be willing to speak highly of our conversation and run it up with both Thaddeus and Alfred Miles. And his skill set does indeed sound quite appealing, except the fact that some of you may not like some of the Hearth Collective. What's to keep such a talented assassin from slitting the throats, as you said, of yours truly?
Look, man, I ain't trying to start a war. I didn't get drafted into the Hearth Collective, and the ADF has open volunteer enrollment. That's all it is. Otherwise, I'd be working for the Hearth Collective. It doesn't matter to me. I ain't trying to start a war with you guys. I'm just trying to do my job. And at this point, nobody's going to be slitting your throats, because I truly believe that what Gull Draxon is playing with is an apocalypse in his mountain. And the minute he screws up, my whole planet dies. And I don't want that to happen. The other reason I think you can push for Heath Welker, he's already done missions to the Dead Seas. He knows the place.
Where's this man from?
I can never remember the regions. I remember the old regions when they were medieval, but I don't remember the regions like after the Astral Drive change. Just give me one sec.
And what race and stuff is he?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, everybody out there who's watching this. Just takes me a second.
Political intrigue stuff, guys. Whoa.
It's actually been really good role playing today, I think, personally.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been intense.
It's been very intense. It has been very intense.
All this spycraft going on.
He's affiliated Republic. He's from the affiliated Republic. He's human. He's specifically of Tochi descent. I'm gonna.
I'll tell you what. For as much as I know you, you seem like a somewhat honorable guy. Are you able to speak to this Heath Welker?
Not right now, but I could try. Why?
If you can, get him to corroborate a story that on one of his missions to Genesis that we had met, then maybe I would have a little more pull as to saying that I know who he is and vouch for him to my superiors.
You're out of game. You're saying he should get the guy to lie that he knows you, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure. All right. I wanted to make sure I hadn't somehow accidentally used a name from your past that I didn't remember. Like, you were like, oh, I know this guy. Like, I wanted to make sure that's what you were doing.
Yeah, and I'll say, you tell Heath that on one of his missions, he had taken refuge at the Stonehand Farms, stayed in one of the barns for a short period where he got to know me.
He nods. He extends his hand.
I'll shake it.
All right. All right, we're going to switch off to Aether before we wrap things up. Aether, you head back to your room, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You enter, and Kelly's just kind of sitting in a chair. She sees you with, like, her head in her hand, and then she sees you. And she goes, oh! I'm telling you,
yes.
after everything that happened, I've started to get a little worried whenever you're away for a while. What happened? What was that whole meeting about?
Oh, well, if it helps, you will be joining me on the mission. However, it will be a different mission.
She looks at you. How different?
We'll be brief. We are sneaking into a enemy to a terrorist secret base in our adventuring ship. Honestly, I'm not convinced that this was necessarily a good idea, but Matthias does say that the riskier the road, the greater the profit. So, and we are charging, and I am charging them for time missed. So I think this will work out, but it's very concerning.
She looks at you. She gets kind of upset. She's like, they're going to send you to the terrorist planet after 2 terrorists tried to kidnap you? Why don't they just gift wrap you? I did not say that right either time. Why don't they just gift wrap you?
I'm staying on the ship. It's better that way.
I mean, why do they even need you on the mission in the first place?
I'm not sure, but apparently the ship, I have to be on the ship for it to work.
She just looks at you. She's like, "What?
I'm
you
not
a
really
pilot?
familiar with.
Are you an engineer?"
Oh gosh, no. They told me that I don't need to fly it. Mr. Whitecastle will fly it. But they didn't really specify how that was going to work. I should probably ask about that. But they said it doesn't fly without me. I'm not sure this is a terribly efficient use of our investment. So I'll have to file this. But if it means I stay for on the ship, that might be okay.
She's like, I guess. This just sounds crazy to me. It sounds crazy that we're going down, but thank you for getting me on that. At least we could trust each other to figure stuff out. Did they have any information about who those cooks were?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there are apparently many other organizations that are conspiring in some capacity. They have no idea why they wanted to kidnap me, though. But apparently they're all over the place, like you said. That's not good.
That's not good.
No.
Did the Admiral vet everybody then?
That's what they said. He didn't specify any more than that. No, that's probably well. They definitely know more than they're telling us. But then that's very normal for these sorts of organizations. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. I don't mind.
She's like, all right. Well, I'm not exactly happy that you're going to be in this kind of danger, that either one of us are going down there at this particular moment, but at least we'll be surrounded by people who we know aren't part of this organization. And we'll have each other. And she just kind of clasps you on the arm like a friend.
Oh, yes. This is going to be, although I am slightly concerned that the crew that we're taking for this is not necessarily going to be optimal for the later mission. We'll have to see about that.
She goes, I can't imagine it will be. You said that they're going to have ADF on there too?
Yes, they're, they seem a lot like the Hearth Collective to me so far, but I've only met like 3 of them, and only briefly, so I don't know them very well.
If we're peacekeepers, they're warbringers. That's what you need to know about the ADF.
Oh, well, peace is good for business, and war is also good for business. I just don't want to be involved in really too much of either. It's not very profitable. Also, I have things I have to do.
To document this shit. All right, we're gonna end it there, guys. Wrapped it all up. We can head down to the planet from there. I hope everybody have fun. I know I did.
Oh
Yeah. You guys are all great role players. Just want to say that real quick. You guys are absolutely. Even when I'm like, this is going to be a boring session. It turns out to be really intense and interesting. So, that being said, got to give everybody their time. Aether Dios, anything you want to plug, sir?
No, I got nothing new going on. Take it away, everybody.
Bill Billy 330, sir.
Check out, continue to watch this. If you guys missed any episodes, you can always go back, obviously, on the VODs and check that out. Catch up on the story. It's been a pretty good one so far. Yeah. We also do our once monthly Thursday TMNT stream with myself, Zach, and Ash. And then Baldur's Gate 3 drops tomorrow. I will be probably streaming most of my playthrough on Old Man Gaming's channel. So if you're interested in that, it'll be random. Like, it'll just be evenings when I have time, no set schedule or anything like that. So probably get to it on Saturday, I'm hoping. So, yeah, other than that, that's it for me.
Wizards Respite, sir.
Yeah, tomorrow we are dropping another Wizards Respite Sanctorum.
That's not tomorrow. That's Friday.
Oh yeah, today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. Same thing. I've been thinking it's Thursday all day today, so don't worry about it.
I don't. I guess I'm just hopeful. Friday we're dropping another Sanctorum. This time Zach and I are diving deep into 4 Against the Darkness, which is a really fun solo first, but also co-op game. Very much has that classic RPG style. It was a really fun show to film, and that's going to be dropping Friday. You can watch it here, and you can watch it at the Wizards Respite. All of these are streaming at thewizardsrespite.com. So yeah, that's what I got for tonight.
Me to finish it off. The Turtles, I believe we're going to be live again on the 17th for the Turtles. This is every other week, so please check those out. They're very exciting. And I'm having an absolute ball doing it. On the video game side, we just did our 200th podcast episode. We made it to 200. Just slowly watching my soul drain out the back of my head. But if you want to check that out, we take a nostalgia walk down memory lane. That's live on YouTube and Spotify as of today. I also am playing OMGM, which is GM mode from WWE 2K23 with a buddy of mine, and then Prelude to Divorce. I'm also still doing Redfall Down because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. And then, and then, of course, check out all our TTRPG stuff, the Sanctorum, all our live stuff. Love doing that. We're just having a ton of fun playing this game. Soon, this game will be up for you to purchase as well, and I will give you guys all information when that happens. We are putting the final touches on it now. So, other than that, I want to thank all of my players for jumping in and being such good role players, and I want to thank anybody watching this in the past. You guys can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can also join our Discord. Links in the description below. Also in the description below, a link to wizardsrespite.com. Go check him out and all of his wonderful TTRPG stuff. He keeps you in the know about that stuff. And you can watch all these there. So if you're watching these and you're not watching it live, just go to Wizards Respite and watch it there. You give us both a view. And other than that, as long as you guys keep watching, listen, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next time.
Later.
All right, we're out, guys.